First, an announcement. We continue to have outdoor services at 9:30 on Sunday morning, and everyone is welcome. Please bring a lawn chair and a mask because we practice social distancing and a mask at all times. So you're welcome to come. This past Friday was the 19th anniversary of a day which most of us still remember as if it was only yesterday. The fatal attack of the World Trade Center in New York, the downed airliner in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and the plane crash into the Pentagon by foreign terrorists shook the lives of people all over our country. It brought people together out of fear, anger, and just plain shock. Many at the time saw this day as a time to bring needed unity to a nation which was beginning to realize a society evolving into deep divisiveness. I can still remember conducting a large candlelight vigil in Fells Point 2 days after the tragedy. People were still in a state of shock, but also felt a strong sense of unity, a hope, the hope that the nation would gain a sense of new life. Even though this could have been a defining moment of positive change in our nation, instead it brought war and increasing divisiveness and extremism. The clash between extremism in world religions erupted, followed by mistrust, bitterness, and even hatred, which have become a breeding ground for prejudices of all kinds. As we all are aware, we see the results of this today. Love and forgiveness have been shoved aside, leaving life being motivated by revenge, hatred, extremism, and prejudice, the fruits of which are death and destruction for a society. With all this going on around us, the pandemic, the natural disasters, as well as the continued injustices, we are experiencing another defining moment in our nation's history. Will we clear our lives, our hearts, and our minds in order to allow love and forgiveness to be realized so that we'll be able to determine truth from fiction, possibilities from failures, hope from hopelessness, future from past? Will we take the moment of trials in order to propel us to a new and better life for all? The fact is that tragedies in life, whether of man's making or nature, are defining moments in our lives. The outcome is up to us as to whether we see the possibilities they may bring or not. I have always believed that in every negative, there's a positive. How we view life and how we are motivated determines the outcome of any tragedy we may face. We are able to survive and move forward as a society when our lives are governed by love and by forgiveness. The results being so motivated are vividly seen in the story of Joseph. Joseph was seen by his brothers as being the favored son of the family. He even received a special robe of many colors, distinguishing him from his brothers' ordinary work clothes. To say the least, his brothers became angry and jealous of him. This led them to take despicable action of selling him into slavery to some traveling Egyptian merchants out of revenge. Joseph was a man who had every right to be bitter and full of a revenge, having experienced the unthinkable of being sold into slavery by his own brothers. This horrible, degrading, inhumane act could have led Joseph to be consumed by revenge and bitterness. But instead, he overcame his plight with God's help. In overcoming this horrible act, he was able to be successful and contribute positively to the lives of his fellow human beings. Not only that, the ultimate result was he was able to love and forgive his brothers who had sold him into the terrible fate of enslavement. He did not let his life be consumed by being judgmental and revengeful. This would have enslaved him for life, even after he had been freed and had become successful. You see, hate and revenge destroys life, for it is all-consuming and never-ending. No, he only freed himself from being consumed by revenge, but he actually saved the lives of those who sold him into slavery from starvation. Joseph found the power of love and forgiveness in order to save his family, the house of Israel. Thus he found that life had found fulfillment through God's presence. God's presence in his life, which could never have happened if he had a life full of hate and revenge. To have revenge is a result of judging others. So often, this process of judging is so tainted, flawed, and influenced by emotions that the truth is hidden from our eyes. The results are decisions leading to wrongful hurt and destruction. Paul states, "Why do you pass judgment on your brothers and sisters? Or you, why do you despise your brother and sister? For we will all stand before the judgment seat of the Lord." To stand in judgment of others denies the possibility of truth, which only God knows. When there is so much divisiveness and extremism, it is so easy to get caught up in the life of being judge and jury. We see the results of this almost every day. We ourselves can so easily fall prey to snap judgments, which become controlling influences in our lives and clouds us from seeing the truth. The difficult task is to be able to get beyond judging others so that we are able to confront, comfort, and meet the needs of those who have suffered from devastating acts of revenge and life itself. Even more difficult is to see the root causes and perhaps injustices which have led to desperate measures. We cannot and should not condemn a whole race, nation, religion, or society upon the acts of a fanatical few. Generalizations only leads to wrongful judgment, and therefore avoiding to find solutions to the root causes which create anger and revenge. The power of forgiveness and reconciliation is to be able to search for the truth through the eyes of love, and then helping to right the wrongs which fuel hate and revenge. This is difficult, since the truth may lead us first to seek forgiveness for ourselves. And then even more difficult is to be able to accept this forgiveness. But the results are overwhelming, for the power of love and forgiveness can break the cycle of hate, bitterness, and revenge. It can bring hope out of the ashes of despair and turmoil. It is clear that Jesus recognized this power and that it was the natural outcome of God's love. As long as there is love, then forgiveness is limitless. And with forgiveness comes new life. Peter found this out when he asked Jesus, "Lord, if any member of the church sins against me, how often should I forgive? As many as 7 times?" And Jesus said to him, "Not 7 times, but I tell you, 77 times." This represented an unlimited number. Jesus even took this love and forgiveness even further when he stated, "You have heard it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." How do you overcome an enemy? Not by trying to destroy him, for in trying to do this, he remains your enemy. But through love and the power of forgiveness, enemies have the possibility of becoming a friend. Love and forgiveness paves the way for a life-giving future. We today are being challenged in so many ways. The challenges in some instances involve life or death outcomes. It is so easy to lash out in anger, but this gets only to the point in which we are living today. It gets us nowhere. But overcoming today's circumstances is to take heed of Paul's words. He states, "Those who observe the day, observe it in honor of the Lord." To honor the Lord is to live each day, new day, and face each new challenge, not in anger and fear, but with a life filled with the love and forgiveness which has been shown us through the good news of Jesus. It is out of such a life that justice will prevail. Equality among all will be lived, and the needs of those suffering from hunger and the disasters of life will be met. This is our calling, and the future depends on how we live this calling of love and forgiveness. Amen.